I interviewed several Japanese women asking for their opinions and thoughts on the modern and traditional approaches for Valentine's Day in Japan. It's a new meta, it's 2026. It's no surprise that the Western media has influenced Japan and the next generation of pursuing the romantic interests. So I went out of my way to ask my girlfriends and friends. So I went out of my way to ask my girlfriends and my girlfriends' friends on the Japanese meta for pursuing love and romance on Valentine's Day in the big 2026. Answer number 1 states, Valentine's and White Day was fun at school, but now I prefer American-style Valentine's. It's more simple and want them to take charge. This is one of the many answers that we will see where the woman actually prefers that the man makes moves on Valentine's Day as opposed to the woman doing something on Valentine's Day and waiting for reciprocation that is not guaranteed on March 14th.
Mama Chonky.
Hi, baby.
Happy Black History Month.
Is this for Black History Month?
Answer number 2. The American in me would appreciate a little bit of effort from the guy on Valentine's Day, but if they plan to go full out on White Day, I think it's okay. LOL. However, after attempting dating apps in Japan, I have very low expectations in the guys here. So I don't know if I would expect anything on either day. For context, I received this answer from a university friend who was raised in the States and is ethnically Japanese. So she kind of has best of both worlds in that regard. In this case, the American side of her would want the man to be aggressive and to show interest as opposed to just being very passive and waiting for moves and dates. It's a given that the American style is a lot more aggressive, a lot more flirty, and way quicker paced. So in a way, I can understand culturally, this is what she would be used to. I do think, however, dating apps in Japan, that is a completely different ball game. If you think it's bad in America, oh man, go to Shibuya or something. It is terrible.
Yeah. Who got that good D? I got that good D. Yeah. Do you have anything softer?
I do not have personal experience. However, I do know, according to friends and friends of friends, both male and female, Japanese Tinder is actually something straight out of a horror film. They end up with you getting a body or being in a body bag. I don't know, but we can probably make a separate video on that for another time.
Hello, I am Professor Psychotic. I'm making an egg with my...
Further questions or suggestions for video ideas, leave them down in the comments. Love to read them. On to the next answer. Number 3 states, honestly, I've always thought it would be nice if it were a day when guys give gifts instead girls. So I actually love the idea of men giving them. This is again no surprise, another count towards the Western approach / modern approach of dating / Valentine's Day from men approaching women. On the contrary, I did have follow-up questions and I asked, if you like him, do you want him to provide something on Valentine's Day or should he just wait until March? And she said he could wait until March because if a girl already prepared something, it might get awkward. This means on the traditional side of Japanese Valentine's Day, there is a form of respect for the rest of the competition for other girls. Let's just say Takumi got chocolate and cookies from 3 other chicks, all 10s, right? Takumi is super hot, super funny, probably a really good drifter. He has several options to reject and one to reciprocate. So one of these girls, or all of them, could get rejected, and because they're all technically competition, they feel bad for possibly eliminating the rest of the competition. So it's a form of respect. For me, it's very Singles Inferno-esque. However, I do think the form of competition and respect for each other does add a layer of sauce that I would want to instigate in. But because these girls all respect each other, and since they're all leaving it on the table, they're all an option, and they feel bad knowing that they all, if not one of them, is not going to make it. So they feel bad for the rest of the girls. Let's just say that the traditional aspect for Japanese Valentine's Day, there's a form of respect for the rest of the suitors, all knowing that they respect each other, going for the same person. Very sweet. And we don't have that in the US. It's a dog-eats-dog world out in the US. You know what I mean? She then proceeded to say, it would be nice if Valentine's Day was just a day for anyone to give something to someone they like. Not a hot take. I think waiting for Valentine's Day as an occasion to do something is wrong. I'm a firm believer in celebrating love and existence for the people you love despite it not being Valentine's Day. I agree with that. Cold take. 4, a girl states, yes, maybe flowers. Guys in Japan doesn't get flowers often. I think this is 100% true. I am a man. I have several Japanese friends that are men, and I have never seen a single one of them, despite it being Valentine's Day, even if it wasn't Valentine's Day, or their anniversaries for that matter, I have never seen them get flowers. Now, of course, they're not monsters out in Japan. I have seen several Instagram stories, reels of my friends getting their girlfriends and partners, wives even, of course, cakes, sweets, and gifts, like maybe a Dior bracelet or something, which is great, right? Don't get me wrong. But sometimes they tend to forget the small things are just as valuable as the expensive. It's not uncommon, but you will probably see them on Reels or TikToks where online celebrities still get their partners flowers, but I do find it kind of skeptical because I don't know if this is a form of genuine love or entertainment. So, something to think about. Next answer states, I think it's nice when a man does something for her, even if it's Valentine's Day. Again, I followed up with the same question, asking, is it better to wait until March, or do you prefer that they make the move? I think no need to wait until March. This is just another common W for the Western/modern approach. You don't have to be a Western man to do these. You don't gotta be gaijin, bro. Like, you can definitely just shoot your shot, even as a Japanese guy. Go for it. In fact, you being Japanese and acting foreign, that's hot. That's what she's looking for. Separate yourself from the crowd. This is the new meta. Take notes, take notes.
20, so I can't fuck with you.
You're 20?
Yeah.
It's okay, no one has to know, baby girl.
Don't call me baby girl. I'm not your.
Again, be yourself and whatever you think works. I'm sure she would love you for you, but it seems like romance is the way to go. It seems like all these girls want the chase. Be the cheetah to chase the gazelle that they are. You know what I mean? I did have to ask another person and clarify in Japanese just so that we're all on the same page. And she said, it's very common on Valentine's Day, you will see boys who want to get chocolate at school lingering around instead of going home. They look pretty nervous when they do it. We're all human, I understand. If you're waiting for chocolate from your potentially future wife, it's a little anxiety inducing, but hey, you gotta go home, man. Be strong and move forward. Furthermore, she states, guys making the first move on White Day isn't a real thing. In Japan, White Day just feels like a return gift for Valentine's Day. If guys want to make a move or confess, I feel like it's better to do it on a regular day, not tied to Valentine's Day or anything special. I agree with this. I don't think you have to wait for Valentine's Day or White Day as a man to confess, show your love, or be a romantic. If you feel extra lovey on a Tuesday, I think you should feel extra lovey on a Tuesday. In fact, I think that's the thing here. Girls like the surprises and the effort. That's what matters. Even in Japan. Probably even a higher standard in Japan now that you think about it. Especially if the standard there is a lot lower in terms of romance and how to act as a man. Doing this is an extra mile above the inches. Next woman also explicitly states that she would like the man to take charge on Valentine's Day. She would be, quote unquote, happy, happy, happy. However, she does think a downside to the Japanese approach is that some people hate making sweets. Listen, I know you can go out of your way to just buy them if you want, but making sweets has more meaning and it comes from the heart, which inherently is more attractive and it means a lot more on the receiving end. Receiving end, this individual also states that receiving presents and a planned dinner is nice. However, it is an issue on the receiving end as the girl if they made plans already. Receiving a planned dinner and presents is nice. However, the issue with this is that if there are conflicting plans that the boy may have prepared, but the girl also prepared because it was Valentine's Day, it may be an issue. I'm talking Google Calendar, Outlook Mail, conflicting events type of thing, you know? For example, if a girl were to plan the dinner, all the presents, the meeting, the hotel even, all on the same day, and the boy thought it would be nice if he took charge, it would be quite awkward to say, hey, by the way, I'm gonna need you to cancel your plans, we can do mine. That's not a happy conversation for anyone. So, in this case, the conflict of planning is an issue. Answer, it says, White Day in Japan is commonly women give something to men. I don't care men give nothing to women on Valentine's Day as long as they give something back on White Day. Me personally, I want to make plans on Valentine's Day for men because Valentine's Day is something that girls take charge on. At least this is what I do. So in this answer, it seems that this is a W for the more traditional route for the woman to take charge on Valentine's Day. Now, I'm just gonna go out and state the obvious. It depends on the person. Not all girls are gonna want the same form of planning and surprises that some girls would want the traditional way. Some girls wanna be traditional and do all the planning, while some prefer the man takes the lead. With that being said, being a good man doesn't mean you have to always be extra super duper romantic, and you don't always have to go out of your way to surprise her. Obviously, being a good man in terms of the context of Japanese culture, along in the Western side for that matter, consists of being a good planner, having great communication skills, and on top of that, taking charge when it matters. Not all the time, but when it matters. Again, me personally as a man, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. But as a form of celebrating love and appreciation and existence for my partner, I would prefer fully that I do the planning. Of course, there will be times where she can take the lead, but that's all good communication. This is not necessarily a cultural thing. So at the end of the day, go shoot your shot, man. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but don't be a weirdo. And don't go on Japanese Tinder. That's a story for another day.